We're talking about marketing again, specifically short form video marketing. With TikTok being back for now, we have less than now 75 days until, again, we don't know the future of its existence. So I wanted to take this as an opportunity to try to impart some of the things that I have learned onto anyone who wants to learn about short form video marketing. My name's Lindsay Elizabeth, and I am a self-published indie author. I have 3 books out right now. I will link them in the comments or in the description in case that is your kind of thing. But I also say that to set the premise that mostly what I'm going to be talking about is relative to my niche of making book sales. So a while ago, one of my first really longer YouTube videos was actually about everything I do and don't do to market my books, and I'll put that in the cards or in the description or something. You can go watch it. It's in my bigger marketing playlist, which I will also link in case you want any more marketing tips and tricks. But long story short, I do a lot myself as an indie author, and one of those things that I do is marketing, and I do not pay for ads or anything, promotions, reviews. I don't pay for marketing to be done for me. I do it all myself. And the main way that I market is through organic social media content, which is me making dumb, silly videos on TikTok about my books until people read them. In the future, I would like to experiment with ads, but I would keep you guys updated on like what I do, what the results are, if I would recommend it, if I have any insights, stuff like that. And the reason I want to experiment a little bit more is because, like I said, we don't know the full extent of what's going to happen to TikTok in the future, and that's just been the channel where I've gained the most traction and gotten the most visibility. So experimenting, always a good time. So I have been posting on TikTok since about 2023, which is right around the time that I started writing and actually trying to figure out how I wanted to publish my first book in this interconnected dark fantasy series. And I was just having fun with TikTok, and I actually got some interest. So mostly talking about TikTok, actually pretty much completely talking about TikTok, but these skills could be transferred to other platforms like Reels and YouTube Shorts, but just some things that I've learned and picked up along the way. Also, as a disclaimer, this is just my experience. I enjoy putting out short form video. I'm not saying that everybody has to. I'm also not saying that it's easy. I do work in marketing. I have a degree in marketing, and I work in digital marketing, actually running a lot of Google ads. So kind of ironic that I don't do any ads for my own books, but I get enough of that at work. So this is just my experience. This is what I've done. I'm not going like viral every week, but I have some tips and tricks to at least make short form video a little bit more fun, engaging, and what's the word I'm thinking of? Strategic. So I cannot guarantee you any results. And typically when people go about and guarantee results saying, oh, you'll go viral every other week, or you'll make this many book sales, I would encourage you not to listen to them, or at least take it with a grain of salt, because usually they are trying to sell you like a course or a service, and that just looks good for them to guarantee some kind of result. And there's so much information out there for free, like this video, I guess. So I don't know. You're welcome. So I hope you find something in here helpful. It's going to be quite a long video because I'm going to be breaking down quite a few different aspects of social media marketing. And if you don't find anything helpful, A, I'm sorry, and B, blame yourself because you clicked on this video, and I love you, thank you. Okay, let's go. Short form video 101, we're talking about audience, content, and editing. These are literally the main 3 things that you need in order to figure out how to talk about your book, get your book out there, figure out who you're talking to, and make sure that the videos are actually kind of engaging and fun to watch. First up is finding your target audience. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of authors, and especially newer authors, make is that when they start posting video content, they're usually talking about more author-related experiences rather than actually trying to get the word out about their book. While the author community is amazing, and I highly recommend that you find some friends in the author community, if your goal, and when you're doing marketing, it's all about goals. And if you're watching this video, your goal is probably to sell some books. So while the writing community is amazing, and I highly encourage finding writing friends, if you want to make sales, you have to make content that speaks to readers rather than fellow writers and authors. And you can make different kinds of content around your bookish related things. You can make some content around finding the writing community and friends and tips and tricks and things you've learned along the way as well. I would highly encourage that. But if your goal is to make book sales, the majority of your content should be about the book talking to readers, your ideal audience. So some things that I do and that I recommend people do if they're looking for the reading community and what's resonating with readers is going into the platform's little search bar and searching like your genre and book recommendations or genre haul or even just the genre as a whole. So it's really important that you know which genre or genres your book fits into and also maybe what kind of tropes people are looking for in those types of books. From there, I personally like to filter to more recent posts just to see what's actively working and what's being pushed out by the algorithm. And then you can kind of get an idea for what people are looking for, what they're reacting to, what they're engaging with. And you can even go into some of these videos, comments, and just engage with readers, just be social. That's the point of social media. We don't want to be this like salesy, sleazy car salesman that's like, got a trench coat full of books, like, hey kids, you want to buy some books? We are trying to actually foster real relationships in the community. So if you know some other books in your genre that you really liked, if you see people recommending that one, maybe comment on the video and say, oh my gosh, I loved that book, it was so good. And just being a person really is one of the main actual social media tactics because it's more engaging and fun to be talking to a real person with interests and hobbies outside of just selling something. If people are asking for book recommendations in a genre, sometimes I like to ask like, hey, is a self-recommendation okay? I write this genre. I write fantasy romance books. And sometimes if I don't say that outright, I will put in like the title and say, oh, it's by me, Lindsay Elizabeth. You can find it on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. But just making it pretty clear that it is like a self-recommendation. And I would encourage those things. You don't have to. There's no like hard and fast rules about how to really promote your book other than just try to do it ethically. One thing I would highly recommend that is very frowned upon is if you are an author and you are going to another author's page that writes in a similar genre where they are marketing their book, don't recommend your own book on their video promoting their own book. That's a big no-no. It's not a rule. It's just kind of rude. So yeah, there's some faux pas, but you kind of live and learn and look at what other authors are doing and look at what other readers are doing, and you start to learn pretty quickly. So I'm going to touch on content, as in what kind of videos and what things you're talking about as far as posting in a couple different sections. So this one is going to be a little bit more of a brief overview of content, and then we'll get into more specific like types of videos you can post later on with a little bit of sales psychology. So when you are selling your book, usually I see a lot of people talking about like a singular line, or they're sharing the tropes that are in the book, things that a lot of readers do enjoy, but it's really hard to get somebody to take a chance on your book when all they know is that it's enemies to lovers and there's the one bed trope. That doesn't give a very round picture of what the story is actually about, so I do recommend actually talking about like some specific scenes or your inciting incident or your characters, or even pitching the whole plot as an elevator pitch. And if you need a quick example of an elevator pitch, my first book, Kingdom of Ash and Shadow, it follows Kel and Rosalie as they're forcibly married to stop a war between their two kingdoms. Kel is a morally gray, kind of firebending, fire-wielding king, and Rosalie is a sheltered princess who's had to keep her powers a secret her entire life. So that is literally my elevator pitch. It's just telling you the inciting incident, it's telling you the genre, it's telling you who these characters are, and it's giving you a little bit of an idea of what the dynamic might be. I do have like a full video in my marketing playlist about how to talk about your book, so I'll link that here as well. I am trying to make just kind of a full overview, so that was pretty quick, but I think I go a little bit more in depth with that one. So the reason that we're posting content is to build brand awareness. It's to get the word out about your book, because people can't read a book they've never heard of in their lives. Even if you walk into a bookstore or a library, that at least gives some context of, oh, this is a book, this is the title, here's the blurb, here's how it feels in my hands. But it's kind of hard to do that when the majority of book sales happen online nowadays. Love her. Okay. So with posting consistently, I would recommend putting out as much content as you can without burning yourself out. When I started TikTok, I was posting like 3 to 6 videos a day. And for one thing, I have the time. I don't have kids. I have a full-time job, but other than that, I don't have a ton of responsibilities, except for, these gals. But the best thing you can do for yourself is to figure out what is working well so that you can continue to replicate that until it doesn't work well anymore. We'll get a little bit more into the statistics and data of what's working well a little bit later, But essentially, you figure out your metrics of what leads to sales, what moves the needle in your author business, what's making the book sales. And then what I highly recommend doing is saving that video in the platform and also off of the platform so that you can actually cross-post it to other platforms, but we'll get into that too. I would also recommend saving other people's video as inspiration. Obviously, we are not stealing other people's content. We are not recreating it one for one. It is inspiration. If you do want to copy something or make something extremely similar, at least best practices is giving people a little shout out in your caption or in your comments saying this is where the post inspiration came from. But usually I'm saving content because I like the sound or I like the way that somebody wrote their hook. And sometimes their video is just like popping off and I want to see if there's any way that I can kind of replicate that little bit of virality. So now into figuring out what is working, what kind of engagement you're tracking, I check my sales daily. So I check my Kindle Direct publishing dashboard. I literally just it's kind of a correlation thing. You can't be 100% sure what's causing the needle to move in the business. But after you look at enough data, you can start to see what's kind of making a difference and you'll see a correlation. For me, when I started, views used to be the thing that got me book sales. If I had more eyes on something, I had more page reads, more sales, more everything. And algorithms change pretty frequently and nobody knows exactly what the algorithm is unless they work in programming it. So I like to listen to people's insights with kind of a grain of salt. But if somebody is telling you that they know exactly what changed with the algorithm, like I said, just be mindful that maybe they're trying to sell you something. So like I said, algorithm starts to change. Now my videos don't get as many views, stuck in the 200 view jail, but like it's not that bad. But it's not really like jail. I'm still shouting into the void and reaching like 200 to 500 people pretty much every time I post. It's usually like 200 to 300. And I make sales pretty much every single day, or I get page reads pretty much every single day. So being stuck in 200 view jail is not like a punishment. I don't know where that came from, but I don't think it's terrible. So I'm not getting these views like I used to, but I'm still making these sales. And what I see correlate to that is usually the amount of saves my videos get. So when people are saving things, usually they're going to come back to it, or it's something that they really wanted to remember for some reason. So now when I'm looking at my content and looking what's doing well, I'm looking at how many people saved this video. And usually the more saves it gets, it starts to climb in views a little bit. You know, some videos will get like 1,000 views, some will get 600. I've had a couple that get like 10,000 views. But there is kind of a correlation to how many people are liking it and saving it, and then how many people are viewing it because it gets pushed out a little bit if it gets better engagement. And then I can see that reciprocated in my book sales dashboard. So the easiest way to find out what works or what doesn't work is by throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And the more you post, the more data you can collect and the better and quicker you can see what's working. I know quite a few indie authors that are in my space. We are mutuals, we follow each other. I see some of them doing photo reels, photo carousels every single day on TikTok, and they continue to get likes and saves. And I'm like, I'm gonna try that. And I tried it, didn't work for me. Maybe I haven't found the right hook for the carousels, but I'm happy that it works for them. I have a few different things that work for me. What works for one person might not always work for the next. Now let's get into short form video editing, because I see so many great videos that would just be amazing if there were a few little tweaks. These are just some basic tips and tricks that I have found that make videos more engaging to watch, or at least keep people watching a little bit longer than they might have otherwise. The first one is, especially at the very beginning of your video, you don't want dead silence. And actually throughout the video, you want to cut out a lot of dead silence too. So try to keep silence to a minimum. And sometimes part of editing is having some kind of a script ready, having some notes available. I actually do have my laptop over here with notes for this video, even though it might seem like I know exactly what I'm about to say because of editing. This is actually extremely common in YouTube and even in some TikToks. Just in video space in general, people will have bullet points or notes or a script that they can reference, and then they edit out the pauses and me looking at my notes and all these different things. So if you've been looking at YouTubers and going like, how the fuck do they know what they're gonna say for an hour? They probably have notes. They probably have a script. I didn't know that people were scripting their videos until I actually started getting into making YouTube videos. So you're not alone if you thought people were just really well spoken and had everything memorized off the top of their head. But pauses in the beginning, now very commonly referred to as the millennial pause. Just drive a dagger through my heart, will you? I am a millennial, and sometimes when we start recording a video, we take a little pause, and then we start talking about what we're talking about. But the problem with having a pause right away in the beginning is that people are kind of subconsciously making these decisions within 2 to 3 seconds, whether or not they're going to continue watching a video for a little bit longer, how much of their time and energy they want to put into it. So when you have a 2-second pause at the very beginning of your video, it is very unlikely that somebody's going to want to sit there in this awkward silence and wait for you to actually say something, especially if you have the chance to edit it. Another way that I see this happening in social media that a lot of people do is they'll be like, oh, excuse my hair, I didn't brush it, or sorry about my face, I didn't put on any makeup and I have this huge zit, and it just has nothing to do with what they're actually talking about. But if you want to get that out there and you want to say that, sometimes it helps to just get it out and it makes you feel better and more confident in what you're about to say next. But you could always edit that out before you post the video. And I've never had anyone comment on my hair if I have flyaways or anything like that. So I get the impression, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm on a very nice corner of the internet, but I feel like I've never had anyone tell me oh, I'm not going to watch your video because you have flyaway hairs or anything. I just don't feel the need to excuse being a person that didn't want to put a ton of effort into their appearance for a 20-second video. I don't know, to each their own, but you can always edit that out if you find yourself doing it a lot. One of the other things that I do when I'm editing is that I will edit out mistakes. And one of the biggest things that I've done for myself is learning how to just stop, how to just pause. And maybe I'll leave something in here the next time I mess something up like this. I lost my train of thought, even though I have my notes. One of the biggest things that I've done for myself is to actually just stop. Pause what I'm doing, and then keep going. Instead of mumbling my way through something, and then I don't have a clear cut of where I'm actually starting to say the thing I want to say versus when I started messing up. So that's been one of the biggest helpful things for me, is kind of just learning when to pause, collect my thoughts, and then keep going, rather than fight for my life trying to figure out what I was trying to say. Another thing that I think is really helpful for short form content, especially if you're doing videos where you're not saying anything, or videos where you just want to put text above or below or something, is setting yourself up in the frame in a good way that gives you breathing room and it's just visually aesthetic. So if I'm, in a short form video, I would like to have a good chunk of space so that I could have some text up here about here's my book title or something, or just having enough room where it doesn't look visually cluttered when somebody's watching the video. My last point in my notes for this section with content was actually just how many times do you have to post? And like I said, I think posting as many times as you can while having fun, not burning yourself out, seeing what works. I think that's great. If you can, do it. A lot of people will tell you that social media thrives on consistency, and whether consistency is once a day or 5 times a day or 3 times a week or something like that. I'm not really sure if there's an algorithmic reward or punishment system as far as how many times you're posting. I think if you're just posting content that engages people and connects people to what you're posting about, that's all that really matters. So I say post as much as you can without burning yourself out. Try to have fun with it. Otherwise, listen to somebody else's advice. That's fine. Collect as much advice and tips and tricks as you can, but then put it to action. Don't get the analysis paralysis. Don't go into, okay, here's how I'm going to piece everything together. Just every video, try to learn something new, figure out what works, do a little bit better the next time. That's all we can do. We can only control ourselves. We can't control how many views we get or likes or anything, which would be amazing if we could, but just gotta do what you can do. All right, short form video 201. We're talking about psychology and strategy behind the content you're posting. Whether you believe it or not, whether you think you have full brain power, full control over how you perceive something, there is psychology tactics deeply embedded into everything that you are seeing. There's a reason you liked it and a reason you engaged with it, and that digs into the psychology. Something that you may have never noticed before in any of the videos you watched, but now you might not be able to stop noticing it, is something called subliminal hooks. This is definitely more of a subconscious marketing tactic to help build trust and relatability. I've actually used some of them myself in both TikTok videos and YouTube videos, so if you notice any, shush. Subliminal hooks can be both auditory and visual, so there are certain things that the creator will do in order to essentially bridge the gap between me and you on the other side of the screen. Something that a lot of creators do is they will do that. They'll sit down. They'll actually sit down and make it look like they're about to have a conversation with you one-on-one. And essentially, it just makes the creator seem more friendly, more relatable. It makes you feel a little more special, I hope. Another thing that people will do is add more of an engaging visual hook, like doing lip gloss or their makeup or lighting a candle. It gives you something that you could comment on, something that you can kind of relate to. It shows, oh my gosh, this is like a real person doing these things that I do every day. Also, it tells you that the content that they wanted to make could not wait. They couldn't put down their makeup brush. They couldn't stop doing their lipstick. They couldn't even wait to light their candle to tell you what they're going to talk about. That sounded really Minnesotan. You see what I did there? Oh, another thing that people do is actually just ask questions. It's, do you want to build a 6-figure business in 90 days and work from home for the rest of your life in your pajamas? That's a question. See what I did there is also a question. A question can draw interest, but you also have to be asking the right questions to the right audience. The other thing that I really like doing is narrowing down onto my specific niche audience and opening a direct line of communication with them, which could look something like, hey, fantasy readers, do you like elemental magic like Avatar: The Last Airbender? Did you like Game of Thrones? Do you kind of wish that those had a love child? Dark fantasy, romance, epic, you know. Hey, fantasy readers. Talking directly to the people that I want to talk to. It cuts out any middlemen. If you like fantasy and reading, you're immediately hooked. And it cuts out everybody who is not a fantasy reader. The thing with short form video, though, is you've probably noticed not everyone is just sitting down like this, talking to a camera. A lot of videos have to do with audios, lip syncing to audios, putting text over screen, all these different things. We're going to dive into each of them. Personally, for me, it takes a little bit more time and energy to put out a talking video, even if it is talking about essentially what would also be text on screen. Also, for me, I've noticed that the text on screen videos do a little bit better than my talking videos. I think people just like reading, they like the visual of it. I'm not always making talking videos, so we're going to dive into all of the non-talking videos. First one is using trending audios. This can be helpful because as something is gaining traction and growing, the algorithm typically will push it out to more people because it's keeping people on the platform, essentially. The other thing with trending audios is it's familiar. People have seen this audio and it's a trend and they know what to expect, and people really like familiar things that they know they're going to enjoy. Whether it's a trending audio or just an audio that you enjoy or that relates to what you're selling and talking about, just having audio and then like text on screen, which is kind of what I've been talking about. I'll put up an example. That can be really good because if people have to read a whole bunch of text, they're usually going to stay on the video for longer, and that kind of increases engagement and watch time, tells the algorithm that this is something people are enjoying watching. For me, I like to use either specific scenes in my book or kind of the things we talked about earlier, the inciting incident, who these characters are, what the genre is, what could be included in the book, like tropes and all these different things. So yeah, I post a lot of really similar content, and I think that helps the algorithm be like, I know exactly what this chick's gonna post about. The other thing that's kind of fun with audios is doing transitions. This doesn't necessarily mean that you are on camera changing outfits or scenes or anything. You can also do transitions for your book. I have a couple that I will just flash up on the screen up here, probably with no audio because copyright, because obviously TikTok is a lot more lax on copyright stuff, or it has a deal, I don't know. But YouTube is a little bit stricter with copyrighted songs and stuff. So I'll post them up here. But transitions, a TV show comp of your book that people love to your book. If you have a series, I really like this transition video that I've made about the series, showing them all off. There are different things that you can do. You can get creative, get snazzy, I don't know, have fun with it. The last kind of bookish content that I see a lot of people doing for readers and authors is essentially book hauls, Whether you bought them all this weekend or they've been sitting on your shelf for 2 years, you don't need to tell anybody that. With books in a similar genre, or maybe they have similar elements in them, you could also create these kind of book haul videos showing off the books that are similar to yours and sneaking yours in there. But these book haul kind of videos, I think, do pretty well because it piques curiosity. It gives people new options if they haven't read something in your stack, but they like all the other things. Maybe they'll pick up your book. And it also just gives them something to talk about in the comments. Like if I was going to put a Kingdom of Ash and Shadow with The Cruel Prince, people could talk about how much they love The Cruel Prince, and also they would be maybe a little bit more inclined to pick up my book if somebody is saying that it's similar to Cruel Prince. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper and get into the weeds, the strategy of what you're posting based on search trends, keywords, and hashtags, I do have this video going into my keyword and hashtag strategy. But there is something on TikTok called Creator Search Insights. You can access this feature through the search bar on the main scrolling page, the For You page, and you can go to Creator Search Insights and see what people who are following you are looking for, what they're searching, what they're engaging with, and where are there gaps in content that people are looking for, but there's not a lot of content about it. I am not sure if Instagram has any kind of feature like that, but if they do, please let me know because that would be tremendously helpful for knowing what people are looking for on Instagram. So you've posted a bunch of content, you've figured out what's doing well, what the fuck do you do with what's doing well? One thing you can do is save it. Like I said, save it in a little folder. I have a little folder in my TikTok, collections that is literally just labeled videos that did well, and it's private to me, and I will save my videos on TikTok into this folder, and then maybe once a month, I'll pick a video or two that do really well, and I'll download it and actually repost it to TikTok. So I download it, re-upload it, same caption, same hashtags. Sometimes I'll throw on some text on the screen to make sure that the algorithm can read it. I go over that in my keyword strategy video too. So check that out if you need that. Kind of helpful, I think. But the reason, long story short, that you want to add text if you download a video and then upload it and then you want to repost it, you want to add this text on top of the screen because it will automatically, when you download it, it bakes the text in. It's called baked in text. That was weird. I don't know why bakes sounded so weird to me. The text is baked into the video, meaning the algorithm is no longer reading the keywords, the words that you have on the screen. It's just seeing it as an image. So you want to give it something to read, which has to do with SEO, search engine optimization, all this different stuff. I'm pretty sure I talk about all of this in that video. I will double check, and if I don't, I will make a follow-up video. But this video is getting kind of long as it is, so we really just have a couple more sections in this one, and then I'm going to talk about mindset and also how to make a little bit more money. Oh, if you've been enjoying this video, could you please like the video and maybe leave me a comment what your favorite tip has been so far, and maybe hit that subscribe button. That'd be super cool. I would really appreciate it. The other thing you're going to do with your videos that perform well on one platform is post them to other platforms. So when you hit that download button, yes, it bakes in the text, cross-post it, put it on Instagram, put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube, put it on Pinterest, pretty much anywhere you have an account. Try to post some version of it. And the reason I would recommend doing this is, well, there's actually a lot of reasons. For one, it builds brand awareness. You are on all these different platforms. If people are seeing your content on TikTok and then they're hopping over to YouTube Shorts and, they see your content again, it starts to actually build in their memory that, I recognize this person. They start to build this kind of relationship with you, and they start to know you a little bit better. They maybe hopefully start to like you a little bit better. Hopefully they start to trust you even. It can also grow your audience. I actually had a video that did really well on TikTok. I posted it over on Instagram. It blew up. It got, 50,000 views. And that was the first time that I had really ever seen growth on my Instagram in the last 8 years. And granted, it was a couple hundred followers, but I was this is more followers than I have had in 5 years combined. So grow your audience, grow your brand awareness, all the good stuff. It also helps because you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket. I had a video that I posted the other day and I said RIP TikTok, and then a day and a half later TikTok was back. So, that was weird. But at least I have some idea of what I'm doing. I have some semblance of a platform on other places. And if TikTok does go away in the next less than 75 days, at least I kind of know what I'm doing. It just helps. And like I said, one video that blew up a little bit on TikTok, I think it got like 10,000 views. It really blew up to 50,000 views on Instagram. So it's kind of hard to say when you're filming content, creating content, if you only put it on one platform. It could even do better on a different platform because that's more of where your ideal readers live. And if nothing else, at least you gave it the good old college try. I would also recommend, if you're doing videos, to try your hooks and things. Like if you're doing text on screen, try taking that text and putting it over onto text-based platforms like Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter. Like I said, you never know who's going to see it, who's going to resonate with it. It'll just get the word out about your book more. And like I said, if people don't know about your book, they can't read it. So if you get it in front of as many people as possible, that helps tremendously. There are a couple of little caveats with cross-posting that I want to talk about, specifically between YouTube, Pinterest, and Instagram. So YouTube, like I said, they're a little bit stricter with their copyright. You can't always use the music that is in like your TikTok or Instagram videos on YouTube. So if you cross-post from Instagram to YouTube or TikTok to YouTube, your video might be like unavailable in some countries, or it'll hit like a copyright barrier and say, you can't post this. So that's just something to kind of look at when you're building up your social media strategy, is either knowing that you can't post certain things or trying it and seeing what doesn't go. I have noticed that Pinterest is also a little bit stricter on copyrights and content that they allow to be posted, so just keep that in mind as well. And another thing with Pinterest is you can actually post from Instagram straight to Pinterest. You just go into your Pinterest account and link your Instagram, and then you can automatically upload everything that you post on Instagram to Pinterest. So it does post the content and the caption and the hashtags automatically, but keep in mind that it doesn't really categorize them the same way that Pinterest does. So your caption gets added in, and your hashtags, whatever you're using in your caption, it gets added in as a description for the pin. Your pin gets uploaded without a title, and it will link to your Instagram. So what I like to do is maybe weekly or bi-weekly, like every other week, I will go into Pinterest, see what's either getting views or clicks or pins, and I will update the title to have a more searchable title. I'll update the caption, and I will add the link to go directly to my book on Amazon. Short form video 301, mindset and making the money. Mindset is a huge thing because I talked about earlier, like you don't want to be that sleazy salesman with your trench coat. Want to buy some books, kids? Like that's just, don't be weird about it. So I think it's important to keep in mind that the reason you're doing this is not just to like make money, although the money obviously is a big factor in making sales. Just remember that you're not forcing anybody to buy your book. You're simply talking about your book, getting the word out about it, encouraging people who like certain things that would like your book to look at it. And when you boil that down into marketing and sales and everything, you're actually providing value to somebody. You are giving them something that will hopefully bring them joy. And I don't think there's anything like sleazy about that. So just gotta kind of keep that in the back of your head. Every once in a while, take a break from social media. It really helps. Another huge mindset thing is learning and adapting. Like I said, nobody knows exactly what they're doing all the freaking time. Nobody has the secret sauce to going viral. There are creators out there who go viral all the time because they try to sell you the idea that you could also go viral. There are a lot of nuances with social media, and we don't know all of them, which means that there's not really one formula that you can follow to know that things are going to do well. Because if there was, everybody would be doing it. Everybody. And social media can be hard, especially when you're not seeing the engagement that you want, you're not getting sales out of it. So it is important to take breaks, to try other things, to really play around with your creativity and see what other people are doing and what you feel like you could emulate. It is extremely hard to be a successful author. It's hard. It takes time, it takes energy, and honestly, it takes a lot of luck. Whether your video goes viral, you get in front of the right agent at the right time, the right person shouts out your book. Like, there are so many factors. And then there are external factors that we can't even comprehend going on with economy and even just the time of year it is. So it really is so much luck, so much timing. And I would just encourage you to stick with it if it's something that you really want to do. Keep writing, because building a backlist is really important, and just keep putting yourself out there and have fun with it. We are getting to the end. I have 2 more tips on how to hopefully maximize sales or make more money per sale before I go. The first one, like I talked about, social media, not permanent. TikTok, not permanent. We really got a taste of our own mortality on social media. I mean, it's happened before, it'll happen again. You know, Vine disappeared, MySpace, TikTok for a day, 15 hours, yeah. But social media is not permanent. So if you can, I would highly recommend trying to build up an email newsletter or something where you have direct control of how you reach out and engage with the people that want to engage with you. Email is not dead. Email is actually one of the best ROI sales and marketing tools out there. And that means return on investment, if you didn't know. But if you're building an email list, getting the people that are really passionate about your work, who know they want to read it, who know they enjoy it, who you know that you can contact them at any single time, is so important, because the next time you have a book release, you have an audience that is right there, willing and probably wants to read it because they like what you have put out before. I've been talking for so long. So by getting the right people on your email list, you have a captive audience that you know likes your writing. They're probably more inclined to buy future releases. If you have a series coming out, you can update them on that. It's just a really great way to make sure that you don't lose touch with people if a social media channel disappears. Last and final tip, it's a super secret tip that I don't think it should be very secret. I have posted about it before on TikTok a very long time ago, but in order to make more money per book sale, get an Amazon Associates account, find your book, get that link, which is an affiliate link. So you are essentially getting a commission when people use that link to purchase either the book, the item that you're linking, or pretty much anything else in their cart within like a 24-hour window. So get that link, put it everywhere. That's the link I put on Pinterest. It's the link I put in my bio. It's the link I put in my email newsletters. It's the link, like literally anywhere that you can post a link, it should be your Amazon Associates affiliate link. And Amazon Associates is a lot less restrictive than their Amazon like influencer program. Pretty much anyone can become an Amazon associate and post affiliate links. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the links in my description are also affiliate links. So I get a small commission on anything that you purchase through there, but it doesn't charge you anything extra. It's essentially Amazon giving me a little pat on the head saying, good girl, you brought us some customers. So it's nothing nefarious, and it is a very, very small commission percentage, but I think every single penny counts, so why not try it, right? All right, that is all I've got for you today. I am actually very tired of talking to the camera. I really hope some things in here were helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.